VSLs don't work for agencies. A busy business owner does not have time to sit and watch your VSL on how to do it. They just want to know how well you've done it for people and if it's going to work for them.
Your marketing's just inputs, outputs, outcomes, and the number one input to that is the target market. And we do the same thing with the sales call. You're getting their exact language, and then you can build out the persona and the story, because you don't sell ads, you sell a dream outcome, right?
And they're like, well, I don't want to work with retirement homes. That's not flashy. It's like, well, you're not making enough money to decide that yet. So you can figure that out later. The people that seem to be the worst at marketing themselves are the people that are marketing other companies.
54,216, that is the total number of digital advertising agencies in the USA alone in 2024, and most of them share the same big burning problem that keeps them up at night: lead flow and client acquisition. So team, today's guest has scaled his agency to 7 figures in just 1 year by drop servicing. Now he has 3 successful agencies, as well as an epic coaching program that's helped over 4,000 agencies to scale their business. He is a master of scaling marketing agencies, Mr. Zach Schubert. Welcome to the Masters of Lead Generation podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. And you're ready for your interrogation. And
I'm ready.
I'm thinking today we're going to give people your source, as all of you guys say in the Eddie's mastermind. Definitely from that mastermind, my usage of the word source and my usage of the word bro has dramatically increased since then. But for today, the source, your actionable strategy to book in qualified leads. And we're going to unpack that with paid ads for just $47 CPL cost per lead. And I think you were telling me on Slack last year this generated, was it just your agency, over 5,000 qualified book calls from paid ads?
One of my agencies, yeah. So I have 3 different agencies, as you mentioned. And so for one of my agencies, that's kind of like the case study that I used when I was speaking on stage at Agency Founders.
Bro, bananas. Okay, let's get into it. First thing is first, with agencies, in your opinion, how does marketing an agency differ from other high-ticket B2B services?
Oh, that's kind of a loaded question. Let's unpack that. I think it's quite different, right? I think there's quite a big difference. In my opinion, the reason is because you're marketing to an entirely different demographic. Obviously, it depends what your agency actually does, but most of the agencies that I work with, they work with higher level businesses, right? Like they want the high quality leads, the businesses that are 7, 8, 9 figures. So you're not dealing with some Joe Schmo that you're just trying to sell some like fitness package to, or like some debt relief or something like that. So it's different in that sense, that you're dealing with an entirely different demographic. And so that plays out in the marketing in a few different ways. Like one of my philosophies, just as an example, we can dive into more, is that just VSLs don't work for agencies. So none of my clients do any VSLs. I've never done any sort of VSL. And it's my whole philosophy behind ads is just because a busy business owner does not have time to sit and watch your VSL on how to do it. They just want to know how well you've done it for people and if it's going to work for them, right? So VSLs, in my opinion, are kind of like a blanket explanation of like, hey, this is how we do it. And in the end, a business owner doesn't really care. They're not really going to make an emotional decision. A lot of their decisions are going to be more based on logic. And that's what, a VSL jobs kind of is to kind of give this blanket sales pitch to everyone. Whereas business owners oftentimes think that their problems are unique. I mean, us as marketers, we know that we're going to do the same solution for everyone. It's going to be ABC, right? But business owners think that their problems are unique and that therefore they need a unique solution to their problems. So if you're just trying to sell them with a VSL, you're giving the same blanket solution to everyone with a problem that they think is different.
And with the VSL, then, do you think, and we're going to get into your funnel shortly, but no training, no VSL at the top of funnel, or what about case study VSLs?
We'll do some kind of videos on case studies and different things like that for like the ads and stuff, but we like to keep things as short as possible. On the landing page, it just has headers, it just has the offer, and then it just goes straight into like apply now. Below, then we have like case studies and all that kind of stuff, all of that stuff written, testimonials. But as far as like a traditional like case study or VSL at the top, we don't do any of that.
Mm,
Just because, once again, the philosophy behind the way that we do our ads is we want it to make it look as natural as possible. We don't want to waste their time, and we want to be able to get them through the funnel as quickly as possible because we know that their time is valuable.
mm. So would you say that when you're doing this strategy, you're really trying to target those in-market leads? Like, if we think like who is most susceptible, are you just trying to find people who are already running ads, who might already have an agency, which pretty much guarantees they're dissatisfied with their current agency's results? Like, is that the mentality? And it's like, do you want this? Yes or no? Get on a call. They're gonna be scoping out other agencies, and it's the right stage of their buyer's journey.
Yes, or yeah, or they just don't. Like, we get a lot of agencies as well, or a lot of brands. So I work a lot with agencies that service ecom brands too. So
Mm,
we get a lot of brands that come through, and maybe they didn't know that there's kind of like other opportunities out there. Maybe they didn't, maybe they're just exploring to see if someone's better. The thing about ecom brands, that's I feel like it's probably the same with info products as well, is they're always kind of looking for the next best thing. Even if they're
mm,
happy with their agency, they're like, oh, let me go check out these guys' results. Maybe it's better than the people that we're working with, right? Maybe their communication's better. Like, everyone's always unhappy with something, right? So it's kind of easy to find those disgruntled people, especially
mm,
if you have a really good offer in like a niche service. So one of my agencies, the one that got the 5,000 plus leads last year, does SEO for e-commerce brands.
mm,
So it's a pretty niche service, right? Like, we're one of the biggest SEO agencies that works with ecom brands in the world, just because there's not very many people that do that. So what
mm,
we do in our ads a lot is we attack a lot of pain points of like, you'll spend millions on ads and just get like a 2x ROAS, but you won't spend a few thousand on SEO and get like a 21x ROAS, right? Or ROI, I should say. And so it's that's what we try to do with a lot of our ads as well, as attack some of those pain points of what other agencies generally fail at. And then that's kind of what brings them into, and then it's like you said, our offer, case study, case study, case study, and then they're like, okay, well, let's get on a call with these people.
mm. And we may or may not go into it today, but this is why retention and client experience is so important because your agency exists in context, right? So you're servicing SEO ecom clients. They are a little bit not happy. They see an ad, shiny new offer, the grass is greener. They're going to start
Mm-hmm.
going on calls, and we might not get into it today, but that's why the retention game is so important because if all you're trying to do is like out earn the churn and you're just stuck on that hamster wheel as an agency owner, you never actually grow, right? And
Right.
one of the things I want to get into then before the strategy is unpacking the importance of qualified leads because you mentioned this like this word a lot and so do we. So we have a lead gen agency for high ticket service based, like a lot of finance, property investment, that sort of thing, funnels, landing pages, offers, ads for that. And the thing is, you don't want leads, you want buyers, right? But I think this is something that a lot of agency owners get a bit wrong and they want to flood their calendar with leads. And yeah,
Right.
talk a bit more about why that is so important.
Yeah, so the reason that I specify like qualified leads, my definition of like a qualified lead is someone that passes your kind of qualifications for what a
Mm-hmm.
qualified lead is, and then actually shows up to the call. So we'll go back to the circumstance of my SEO agency. We only work with 7, 8, and 9 figure brands, so they have to be doing at least, well, obviously 50 isn't 7 figures, but they have to be doing at least 50K a month in revenue
Mm,
in order to qualify to work with us. So we qualify them right away on the survey on the front end. So they fill out the application. If they're 50 and above, then the application allows them to book a call. And then if they show up to the call, that's what we consider to be a qualified book call. And we set up the pixel that way on Facebook as well, so that it only triggers once it is a qualified book call, because we want to make sure that the algorithm is optimizing for qualified book calls and not
Mm.
leads, not even people that show up to the calendar and are qualified. Like we want people to show up to the call and actually book the call and be qualified in order for the pixel to be kind of rewarded for that. So
Mm.
that's how we do it, because like you said, yeah, everyone can promise leads, right? Like out of those one qualified book calls, maybe there was like five leads that came in and only one of them were qualified. And we also don't go to the extremity either of saying like, hey, this is our cost per sale, because obviously since we don't do the sales side of things, we
Mm.
can't necessarily take credit for that either.
Mm. And I think that's such an important thing with lead gen is that feeding the right data back in and training the pixel, right? So for our clients where they've got a shorter lead to sales time and we can feed back in the sales data, we can train for that. Some of them have like it's just high ticket B2B, right? They have a or B2C, a longer lead to sales. So it has to be that qualified leads. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
you are literally optimizing for a false positive. And it's what a lot
Yeah.
of agencies do to their clients. They're like, wow, look how good I am. I got you all of these leads. It's like, yeah, but they're shit. And they don't show
Yeah.
up and they have no intent to buy whatsoever. So, on that vein, on that train, what do most agencies get wrong when they're setting up their lead gen systems? And it can be more specifically to paid ads, if you like, because that's where we're going to focus today.
So when most agencies are setting up their lead generation, I would say that's one of the number one things that they get wrong is oftentimes we see that they're optimizing for leads, or heaven forbid, they're
Mm,
doing some kind of like DM ads. Um, and so that's one of the things that we encounter a lot. And then they also have really, really generic offers, right? Like
hmm
they're just like, we do meta ads for e-commerce brands. And it's like, so does everyone. Good for you. What makes you different? Like, why should someone book a call with you and work with you? So then it's really working on their offers to make sure that it's an offer that, like everyone says, that it's an offer that people would say would be stupid to say no to, and that
hmm
works on any platform, right? Because just because it worked for them, on organic Twitter doesn't mean that it's going to work for them on paid ads or somewhere else. Just because it worked for them on TikTok Reels doesn't mean it's going to work um,
hmm
elsewhere. You know what I mean? So that's what we work on as well, is making sure that we can find that offer, to make sure that it actually works for ads, because that's what most people aren't good at as well. So it's I would say those are probably the two biggest things, is people optimizing their pixels for the wrong things, um, and really doing a poor job of training the algorithm to look for the right ICP, and then also just the offer creation side of things. They're just generally rubbish at it,
They are.
which is ironic
And
because they're marketers.
I know, I know. I get so many marketing agencies apply to work with us. Back in the day, I used to kind of take them on, but it's like it's just hard, and I'm about to explain why. And kudos to you for making a whole agency to help agencies, because and I used to have a coaching program as well for a while for like to help agency owners get to
Mm-hmm.
100K. And in any case, whether it's an agency or any other service based lead gen business, they're always missing like one of these four or five things. Exactly what you just said, right? The target market, like they don't have that dog whistle messaging. They're not talking to anybody. They're just existing and getting lost in the noise. They're not dialed in on the problems and talking their language. That's number one. Number two, kind of like what you said, is that like really generic messaging. Like you just sound like everybody else. You don't stand out. And it kind of comes into number three is they don't have any authority positioning, right? Like there's
Yeah.
54,000 digital marketing agencies in the US alone. You're either a commodity or you're an authority. And I just find so many agencies are in that commodity basket. And I know Eddie in the mastermind talks about this a lot. And I'm big on this like brand and authority and not just being another dude who watched an Iman Gadzhi video in his mum basement with a neon backlight. Like that's everybody else, right? Like how can you stand out? And then social proof and then the offer. And these are the ingredients I find that when you have them. But my kudos to you is that I find so many agencies don't have that. Like they haven't spent any time on authority, they haven't spent any time on proof and no time on their offer. And it's so hard to get it working on paid ads.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I used to do consulting too. And the reason that I actually switched into done for you is because I was kind of frustrated on like getting people to try and
Mm,
understand it. And then we would get on our next call and they're like, oh, yeah, I haven't had time. I haven't done it yet. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to start doing it for people because you guys are too slow. You can't figure it out. So I'm just going to do it for you. I already have the
yeah.
team built out, so might as well. Um, but yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. It's kind of ironic because the people that seem to be the worst at marketing themselves are the people that are marketing other companies, right? Like
Mm,
when we work with info products, because we also work with info products, like they tend to even be better. Like they know who their ICP is, they know
mm,
how to advertise to them, they know what they're looking for. They just don't know how to do it properly. Whereas marketers, they kind of think they know how to do the marketing. They're like, oh yeah, we can do the meta ads. We know how to do that. It's like, well, you
mm,
don't actually know how to do what's the most important part, which is like finding your correct target audience, is actually building out the offers and then actually having a structure for your whole system so that people can flow through without any issues.
mm. Especially sometimes if they're e-com agency owners, marketers, then having to
Mm-hmm.
learn lead gen, I find that's the big breakdown because
Yeah.
they're not from the lead gen world. It's a very different way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, I'm sure we'll unpack this more, but where should agency owners start? Let's start getting into your strategy. We'll start high level and we'll zoom down. Should we start with choosing an audience, the offer, the funnel? What's the first step?
Yeah, so I mean, offer creation is what we always look at first.
Mm,
Um, it's pretty straightforward how we go through the process. What we do is we basically, we have the client obviously fill out a lot of information about their service, what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. But then where we find a lot of excuse me, but where we find a lot of the juice is actually in like their sales calls. So we'll go through
mm-hmm,
and dive into their sales calls, and then we'll also look at a lot of like the negative reviews if they have any, um, to be able to see kind of what like the biggest objections are or what people aren't liking. Inside the sales calls, we're mostly looking why people are coming to get on calls with them. So if they're like, oh, it's because my last agency sucked at communication, boom, that's an angle that we can use. That's
mm-hmm,
maybe not an entire offer, but at least like a creative that we can kind of build out. So we actually have our own software that we use to be able to do a lot of this stuff because obviously we, instead of just what most people will do is they'll watch like 3 to 5 sales calls because that's a lot of time, but we actually have like an AI software that helps us build out offers and landing pages and ad creatives and all that kind of stuff where it'll go through 100 sales videos, it'll go through their whole
mm,
YouTube channel, it'll go through all their client calls, and it'll shoot a lot of that stuff out for us. So then we can start building it. Um, and so that obviously helps quite a bit. But then we're kind of going through and then picking out what those offers are. Like I said, offers that convert on any platform, offers that people would say be stupid to say no to. We like to use pain a lot because that's generally what business owners respond to the most. They're not really going to respond to something shiny and emotional as much as, in the info space or even in like the lead generation space. They're more like feeling some kind of pain. Like, I'm
mm.
not making enough money. I'm not getting to 8 figures yet. I really need to get there. There's something wrong with my marketing agency. That's why we're not growing. Because obviously it's not their fault. It's not their product's fault. It's all because of the marketing that they're not scaling,
Of
right?
course.
So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's really the type of things that we're looking for that service specifically. Whether it's people looking for local med spas or people looking for e-commerce brands or whatever it is that their agency does, those are the types of things we're looking for to be able to create that offer. So that's kind of step one, is just doing that
Mm,
kind of offer creation side of things. And then we'll go into actually building out like the landing page side of things, even before we build out the ads, because we like to build out the ads around the landing pages. Rather, I know that some people, they'll do it the other way where then they start going and building out ad creatives and stuff like that and then build out the landing page. But we like our ad creatives to be very congruent with what our landing page actually says. Just because once again, we're dealing with more intelligent business owners. So you can't use a lot of like some of the strategies. Like you can't really do like a bait and hook type thing with business
Mm-hmm.
owners. Like those types of things don't work. Everything has to be very transparent and very straightforward, and like you said, very authoritative too. Like you have to have a good brand image, or at least for it to appear good online. So if you're like saying one thing on the creative and then the landing page says something different, like immediately that's gonna get you higher bounce rate just with this type of audience that you're looking for. So we'll go into building out the landing page, and we have kind of like a specific structure that we like to use for agencies. Um, I can kind of unpack that a little bit too if you're interested in that. And then we go, into the ads side of things. We have a specific way of setting up our funnel too, because and this is just once again our philosophy. I like to avoid as much human error as possible. So what a lot of people will do is they'll, just have people submit applications and then have setters reach out to them to try and get them on a booked call. One, the reason that we don't do that is you can't necessarily optimize the pixel for book calls because you can't send that
Mm.
instant gratification back to the pixel. And then two, you're counting on like speed to lead and making sure that the setter is actually going to do the sales properly. And we can't trust that because it's not our team. I don't even do that with my own team just because I like to avoid any kind of human error if at all possible. Um, because then you don't really know how many of those leads are qualified. Those are kind of just made up numbers based on how that setter's feeling that day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then we actually set up the application process, and we position it in a way where it doesn't sound like we're desperate for new clients. We position it more as if it's like people kind of applying for a job, right? Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
not like you can come work with us. It's like apply to work with us. Not like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, please come work with us. Oh, get your free audit. Oh, get this, yada yada. It's like apply to work with us to see if you qualify. So then they actually feel like they have to go through some kind of like process to actually get on a call with you. And it's not just like instant gratification, like, oh, I can pick a number and I can book a call, but they actually have to go through the application process. And then we'll have, the disqualifier, whether it's financial, whether it's ad spend. So we'll have some clients, like if they do Google ads or Facebook ads, or if they're on Amazon and they're doing PPC, or whatever it might be, they might be disqualifying them based on how much they're spending on ads each month. Or if it's like a
Mm.
financial qualifier of like they have to be doing at least 100K a month to be able to work with us. Great. So we'll eliminate those. Um, and then if they're qualified, we'll send them straight to a calendar where then they can book on a call with the closer. Um, However, we do have a lot of people, and we do encourage a lot of people to have some sort of form of downsell for people that are below 100K or below 50K or below whatever your threshold is. So, like my
Mm-hmm.
agency, for example, we have a downsell service, and then my other agency has a downsell software. I don't like to do downsell courses because it's very, very hard to sell a course to someone that's searching for something done for you.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to say, like, actually, your business is trash and you can't work with us because you don't qualify. So learn how to
Yeah.
do
Do
it
it
yourself.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't go down
so
well.
so we like to encourage things that are more either done with them or more done for you. So things like softwares, if you have any like in-house proprietary softwares, like my Amazon agency has an in-house software that we then sell to people that don't qualify to work with us. If you have maybe like a downsell service, like for example, my SEO agency, we have a downsell service to our main like flagship offer where we just used a lot of outsourced talent. They don't get as many people on their team. They don't get as many, backlinks, things like that. Um, but we're still able to kind of supplement some of the ad spend from
Mm.
that. So we're not entirely losing that lead, and we're still at least able to scale the ads more profitably without having to count only on like people closing from the qualified leads.
Cool. Let's start to unpack some of this. Number one, with the offers. What makes offer creation easy, in my opinion, is understanding the target market, right? Like your marketing is just inputs, outputs, outcomes. And the number one input to that is the target market. And we do the same thing with the sales calls. It's like gold mine because you're
Hmm.
getting their exact language. And then you can build out the persona and the story, right? Like what's their crappy before state? What's that dream outcome? How are you going to position the agency to get them from A to B? Because you don't sell ads, you sell a dream outcome, right? We also do, although it's becoming slightly less relevant the better data we can get from sales calls, but a survey out to all of their current and past clients asking different questions. It's an NPS survey, but with a lot of qualitative data like what have you tried before? What problems were you facing? How would you explain company X to a friend? And it just puts the strategy on the execution on easy mode because you've
Yeah.
got the right inputs. And I just find whenever marketing is feeling hard, it's just because you didn't do the right research. Is there anything else that you guys do in that research phase alongside the sales calls that you think are good hacks?
Well, like I said, we do have that software that
Mm,
goes through a lot of content. So especially if it's someone that posts content on YouTube
mm,
or posts reels or anything like that, then we'll have the AI kind of dive through all of that. And then the same thing with like if they have meetings with their clients, we'll ask them for recordings from those. So like monthly reviews, or even if they have like exit surveys, we want those as well, like all that kind of stuff. We're just consuming as much of like the raw data as we can. Um, because we want to see like what people are actually saying when they're happy, when they're not happy, when they're leaving, all that kind of stuff. So that's we'll go through as much of like the client communication as
mm,
we possibly can. Even if like some of the clients they'll have even like transcripts from like Slack messages with the clients and stuff like that too, and we'll
mm,
throw that into the software as well. That is kind of like the beauty of having a software to be able to do it, is that we don't actually have to physically comb through stuff. So it's like, give us everything, everything as much as you want, hours, hundreds of hours of stuff if you want to. Um, but yeah, those are some of the biggest things that we do for sure. And then obviously having industry experience, like you and I have, because we've been working with agencies. I have my own agencies, so I know what like common things are that
mm,
people are always unhappy with. They're always unhappy with communications, with the lack of results, with how quickly they get results, etc. So it's also having kind of understanding the market as well and who you're talking to.
mm. And going into the offer creation, I often think of it as, like the Eugene Schwartz's levels of awareness, right? And so it depends what stage of awareness they're in. And when we're working with our clients, we might have more of a discovery consultation offer for when they're maybe more problem aware. And when they're more solution aware, that's where the offer might be more closely tied to what do you actually offer and talking more about that. So it sounds like when you're talking about the offer packaging up, are you mainly just being like, hey, we understand your problem. This is where you're at. This is what our agency does. We're good at communication, customer service, blah, 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 whatever the pain points are from the research. And then you do apply to work with us. Like, so your offer for them to take the next step is an application to work with them. Can you answer that and then unpack a bit more around, excuse me, how you create really good offers? Like, how do you think about it and any winning offers that you have in market?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll just use my agency as an example again because it's the easiest one for me. Um, we work with SEO agencies for ecom. Sorry, we work with ecom brands and we do SEO for them. One, generally SEO agencies don't niche down only to ecom. Like mostly
Mm,
SEO agencies, they work with local businesses, or they try and work with softwares or big corporations. So there aren't many SEO agencies out there in general that do ecom. And so that's one of the big gaps that we found. And there's
mm,
gaps everywhere, right? So even if you do something as generic as doing like Facebook ads or lead generation for local med spas, like there are always gaps where you can find where people aren't quite working yet. So you're finding that starving crowd, right? The people that are really in pain and really kind of could use your solution or they at least don't have it and they don't quite know that they don't need it. So like in my case, a lot of ecom brands, they haven't ever even done SEO. They're like, oh, we
Mm,
haven't even thought about that, especially in like the 7 and 8 figure range. Or they're like, yeah, I hired some freelancer to do it for me for $300 a month and it just didn't work. So what makes you different? You know what I mean? So then they see our crazy results and our crazy case studies and they're like, oh, well, that's kind of what makes you different. Um, so it's kind of like having a deep and urgent need for some kind of solution that they have, and looking also who your competitors are underserving. I think that's super
mm,
important as well because SEO agencies, they heavily underserve ecom brands. They work a lot with local businesses, they work a lot with softwares, but there isn't someone that like points specifically, like even if you look at the giants like Neil Patel or like Manic Bond or any of those guys, like they're all
mm,
very generic. We do SEO for everyone. So to be able to hone in on a crowd that you feel to be starving, that gives you a big plus inside the industries as well. And then you're basically just positioning yourself as the ultimate savior, right? Like I am the person that takes 7 figure brands to 8 figures with SEO and maximizes your profitability and gets you better acquisition value because SEO revenue is much more valuable than ad revenue, just as far as the multiple when they're selling a brand. Like there's a lot of different angles that then you can go to that brand specifically to be able to make sure that that you're servicing them properly. And then you can, if you want to, you can even niche down even further, right? Like then you can say like, hey, we're the best SEO for um, supplement brands, right? And that's how we kind of scale horizontally. Is then we have offers, landing pages, creatives, all that kind of stuff that are then pointing to like, hey, we're the best one in the UK, we're the best one in Australia, we're the best
mm,
one for supplement brands, we're the best one for, I don't know, activewear brands, right? And so then we're looking at our case studies and what we've done well, and we're starting to go target those types of people because that's I feel like some an issue that a lot of marketers have. They're like, well, what do I niche down to? And they're like, well, I
mm,
really like working with supplement brands. It's like, okay, well, let's see your case study for supplement brands. Oh, well, I don't really have any, but I like working with them. Okay, so that's probably not the right audience to go after. So that's one of the things that we'll tackle as well is like, well, what are you best working with? Like, which types of brands are you best working with? We're really good at working with retirement homes for some reason. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, great. You are the SEO agency for retirement homes. Like that's your thing. You can expand later. There's no problem in like testing a niche out and completely niching down to it and then worrying about that later. So we'll even have our clients like test multiple niches at a time. I had one consulting client where they do SEO for local businesses, and he's like, "Yeah, we work for pretty much everything. We work for your local mom and pop shops. We work for local clothing brands that have brick and mortar stores. We work for retirement homes. We work for yada yada." I was like, "Okay, well, what are your best case studies?" They're like, "Well, retirement homes is actually." And we're also really good at working with med spas. I was like, great. Those are the two audiences you're going to tackle. And those are the two offers you're going to build. And what are you good at doing
mm,
for them? Oh, we're good at doing this. So sometimes it's just having an outside perspective sometimes too, because people get so lost in the weeds. And then they also are like, even for some reason, people starting off their marketing agencies, they feel like they need this like ideal client sometimes or like this ideal situation. And sometimes you just need to grind and start making some money and bringing some money in. And they're like, well, I don't want to work with retirement homes. That's not flashy. It's like, well, you're not making enough money to decide that yet. So you can figure that out later. So it's kind of just giving them kind of that wake up call as well. So that's one of the things that we do. And then we try and make sure that we're positioning the offer to solve all their problems and not just bring like partial solutions. Because that's what a
mm,
lot of people will do. Because I feel like the more solutions that you can bring to someone's problems, the more likely the more happy they'll be with you. Like with bad marketing, for example, since we've been talking about Eddie, they do pretty much everything, right? So there's some brands that are like, man, I just want it all. I want someone to do my email, to do my ads, to do my whatever, and we just need them to do it all. Or there'll be some SEO agencies where they just do, I don't know, just do backlinks or they just do the on-site stuff. So being a full solution to solve all their problems in whatever area you're pointing out, then they'll see you as more of authority in that as well. So bundling solutions is something that we like to do. Like, don't just do CRO, like do CRO, build them out new landing pages, get them some SEO traffic, and also fix all their on-site stuff. You know what I mean? So we like to bundle solutions as well. So even with my SEO offer, we do SEO, but we also do CRO for them. We do on-site SEO, off-site SEO. We write content for them. We do quite a few different things to be able to make sure that we can bring the best traffic possible, but that also they convert on that traffic. Because one of the issues that people have with SEO agencies is they bring all these clicks, all these,
Mm.
impressions, but no purchases. It's like, okay, well, let's solve both problems. Let's bring you the impressions, and then let's also make sure that you can actually convert on those impressions that we're bringing in. So that's one of the things that a lot of people miss too, because they're like, oh, we're really good at like doing meta ads for brands. Great, you're sending all this traffic to them, but they're not converting on it. Is it because your content is rubbish? So get better at doing the content side of things and maybe do UGC also. Or is it because the landing pages that you're sending all this traffic is rubbish? Maybe you need to also include building out their landing pages and doing CRO for them. So that's one of the things that we work on as well, is making sure that they're um, doing that and then enhancing the perceived value of that offer. So using tons of social proof, using scarcity and exclusivity when you can. You obviously can't use a lot of that with smart business owners because they see right through it. And then don't ever use discounts. That's one of the biggest things that we tell agencies is don't ever use any kind of discounts or anything like that, because it just makes you look desperate, and it makes the value of your service look like it's less than what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when you attract the wrong kind of audience as well, and you start competing as a commodity, right? Like they don't see you as this authority that can solve their solution.
Yeah.
It's like it just starts coming from a price point of view. And I think
Yeah, then
that's
you just get
so
in a
true.
price battle of like who
Yeah,
can have the lowest
awful.
price. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you cut prices and then you are like resentful of having the client because you're not making any money, of course. And you probably increased scope, decreased prices into like an awful place. And it's kind of a journey you go on when you run an agency to develop your, I call it like your sales offer and your lead gen offer. So we'll come back to the
Hmm.
lead gen offer, but your sales offer, right? Um, you want to eat your customers, your clients' complexity. So when we first started our agency, as Persuasion Experience, we were just doing landing pages and funnels because no other traffic agency is looking after the post click and your traffic is worthless unless it converts. But then we
Hmm.
realized, well, gee whiz, we're just causing the same problem because we're building these landing pages and these funnels and nobody knows how to like look at it as a whole campaign. So then we added traffic. And then we weren't doing video editing. So we were writing the scripts, the clients were editing them, but they weren't like they were having struggles there. So we're like, okay, cool. So when we first started our agency doing traffic, we were 1600 AUD a month, and this is where the pricing power comes in, right? Like to have a more valuable sales offer, a more valuable thing, which is like, I don't know, $2 USD or something dumb. And then over time, now we're like 7K, 12K or more a month. Like the people that we work with are on percentage because we've
Yeah.
positioned ourselves over time to be the authority in profitably scaling accounts because we're like your plug and play performance team and we take care of everything for you, your offers, your landing pages, your funnels. We find proactive opportunities because we listen to the market and then we reverse engineered our sales offering to do that, right? And I think that's not enough thought is put into that to actually make something that solves a bigger problem. The bigger the
Yeah.
problem you solve, you get paid in direct proportion to that.
Yeah. And then you don't have to like argue with them about prices and stuff. It's like, listen, I'm doing all your
Yes.
marketing. You know what I mean? And then you can add on like those performance bonuses and stuff, because a lot of people want like those 10, 20, 50K retainers, and they're not willing to actually and they're trying to charge them based on their
Mm-hmm.
service, but you really need to have leverage in the business in order to be able to charge those types of things. So that's even why we do that for agencies. Like it's, yeah, we could run your ads for your agency and get you leads like everyone does. But we also know that your funnel's probably rubbish. We also know that your creatives are probably horrible. We also know that your email marketing's horrible. Your CRM is probably a mess. So that's why we tackle all of it. And it's like, hey, you're going to pay us a retainer and some kind of performance because
Mm.
we're able to, have control over that full funnel. And then that's where, like you said, then you can start charging those higher prices, adding those performance bonuses on, and then all of a sudden you have clients paying you 25, 50K a month, and you're like, oh, this is how you do it. It's like, yeah, it wasn't that
Yeah.
hard. You just had to actually do their marketing and not just do one piece of it.
And when you figure out, it's like price is what they pay, value is what they get. And so
Hmm.
all you're doing is that delicate dance of, okay, price just is down here, value is up here, then that gets them and then that retains them. And then don't overpromise in the sales process. That's the other big thing though, right? Which we
Yeah.
may or may not get into. Before we get into the lead gen offer, I want to touch on niching because I think a lot of agencies are afraid to do that. They want to be for
Hmm.
everybody, but there's so many agencies that have built multi seven, eight figure agencies, had huge exits, and they're working with single niches. For us, we're not like just one niche, but we specialize in finance, property, investment, and then like really good coaching and consultants. That's kind of like our vibe. And on our ads, all we do is talk to finance companies. We have one for B2B, one for B2C, because their language is so different, right? And then
Right.
the other benefit of niching is you get more leverage from the assets that you make. Your team's not having to recreate the wheel. What are your opinions? Because you've kind of hinted on a couple of them, but for niching in an agency, how specific or how narrow should an agency go? And is it just at the ad level or the whole business should be niche?
I don't know if the whole business, I think it depends on the level of the business, if the whole business needs to niche.
Mm,
Because obviously, if you're just starting out, if you're at like the 100K range or even at like the 200K range, you're still getting kind of scrappy. And your SOPs might not even be fully there inside your agency. So I wouldn't say that your whole entire agency needs to niche at that level. If you're, at 300, 400, 500, etc., then you want to get your SOPs tight. You want your team to be tight. You want them to be A players. You want them to know what's going on, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously, then it's probably wise to niche down the entire agency. But the beauty of that, like less than 200K range, is that you can still get a little scrappy, right? Like,
mm,
so you can switch around your offers, you can switch around your ads, you can switch around your landing pages on a regular basis. Because to be honest, nobody knows who you are yet. You don't really have any kind of footprint in the market, so it's not going to be like, oh, I thought they did med spas, not retirement homes. Like, when did they switch over? You know what? No one's going to know. So it really is, I think, in like the ad and offer level, right? Like where you can start even A/B testing or ABC testing a bunch of different niches to decide which one that you're actually able to attract and that maybe even you like, right? Like I said, your feelings don't actually fully matter at that level yet. Um, but maybe you can get someone that you like a little bit more, that you're better at selling to, that you're better at talking to. But you can certainly test it, right? Especially if you're doing
mm,
less than 100K, like you have no idea what you're doing yet. Go out and test three, four different niches. Test them all at the same time if you want to. Test them with organic, test them with cold email if you don't have the money for paid ads. And then from there you'll see, okay, these people I can sell to, these people I know how to talk their language. We get good case studies for them. And then you can start, from there niching down the whole business. But yeah, I feel like you said, people just get too afraid to do it because they think like it's going to be their identity, and it doesn't need
mm.
to be until you're well over a seven-figure a year business. So um, that's, I think, just my opinion on that side of things as far as niching down. I think they should, but you can test multiple ones. Like no one's going to go
Mm-hmm.
into your ad library and be like, why are they advertising to med spas too and dentists? Like
Mm.
these guys, you know what I mean? Like no one cares. So, um, yeah, I think that's my idea behind it, is just like you don't know until you know, mainly because you don't know what your sales, if you have a sales team or if you're doing your sales yourself, you don't know who you're going to be able to talk to the best, you don't know who you're going to be able to sell to the best. Maybe your team enjoys working with someone else. So testing it out is really just the best way to do it.
Yeah. And don't be chasing the sexy industries because that's where all
Hmm.
the competition is, right? Like for us, I love lead gen more than ecom. So that was just very naturally we went to that. I find ecom, I guess apparently not an SEO though, severely over, like there's too many people in there. It's like very competitive. And then lead generation, high ticket qualified leads for established businesses, they're all used to dealing with people who have no idea what they're doing. So there's like an underserved niche there. And that's what I'm trying
Hmm.
to say, right? Like try and find that underserved niche who has money that you get results for, you enjoy working with, and there's a big enough total addressable market. You don't need that many to have a 7, 8 figure agency, like a
Right.
profitable 7, 8 figure agency. You can do that on the weirdest niche. And for the lead gen offer, so that's like the sales offer, to get somebody on the phone and excited to talk to you, they actually want to move ahead. Do you build any value around what I would call the lead gen offer? Or is it literally like, this is what we do, apply to work with us?
Yeah, so pain, like I said, we like to use pain
Mm,
a lot, and like value in case studies. Not necessarily building value around how we do things. There are some clients that we'll work with that we like for them to show their process on ads, or even, and we like to do that on the landing page as well, so that people, when they come in, if they kind of know how to do email marketing, or they kind of know how to do Google ads, they can see like the formula and the process the company goes through, so that they can know that it's legit. But most of the time, like I said, what these busy business owners are going to do is they're going to be triggered by some kind of pain and then just want a solution for it. And the only thing that they'll really want to see is like your case studies and who you've worked with. So
mm,
if you've worked with good people, if you are in like some a red ocean of some sort, like ecom, um, then you really still have to be able to identify those people that are being underserved, right? Because if it's not a blue ocean, then you have to find the people that are underserved and the people that are still starving, right? And generally,
mm,
those are niches that are overlooked, like you said, because it could be like, yeah, everyone's working with supplement brands, but maybe nobody's working with brands that service elderly men and women. You know what I
mm,
mean? So there's always going to be some kind of underserved niche, even inside of a red ocean. And even if there isn't an underserved niche, there's always going to be people that are starving for people that do it high quality if everyone's doing it, right? So that's where you really have to kind of differentiate yourself. Is we just go heavy on like the case studies. So like, sure, we have like our nice little offer above the fold when people hit a landing page, or what we use on like the lead gen and stuff. But then in the landing page mostly is just filled with like case studies. Like, this is what we've done for the person.
mm-hmm,
And if it's something like specific, like an offer that we're trying to target, so if it's like SEO, and the angle that we're using on the ads is that we do SEO faster than anyone else, because one of the biggest complaints is that SEO is slow. So it's like, okay, well, let's do a whole campaign on how we do SEO faster than anyone else. So then when they know that they're coming to us, they're able to see that we do it with speed. Then we'll show specific case studies on that landing page of fast results that we've gotten for people. And so it's that type of thing that we're kind of looking to do.
mm. And I think that's what a lot of agency owners forget is like get case studies.
Hmm.
That's like the ultimate asset for leverage. It gets you more revenue. Like that person stays longer, so it's retention. They stay longer. It gets you more revenue. It's an asset for leverage to go and hunt for more. It keeps people like it keeps like your team motivated. It's like the scoreboard, right? So it's like helps with the client retention because you're winning, and all of these like different reasons. And so for us, for our team, it's like the North Star metric of each of our pods is case studies. Like what, how many case studies? How many case studies did you get? And then when we get that case study, I invite them on to my YouTube channel. I do a client interview with them. I'll do one YouTube video breakdown of their landing page, which will go bananas because it has crazy results. I'll have a client interview, and then I've got the case study, those two YouTube videos, like just out there pumping and getting more results, right? So
Yeah.
that's the lead gen offer, that's the sales offer. Is there anything that you think is important that you want to go over on the landing page? At the moment, it sounds like the call to action button is the application. We have the qualification multi step, I think you might have, and it will have the disqualify and the qualify, and then just a shitload of proof. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that's really important for them to understand?
Yeah, I mean, we do have kind of a structure of the way that we like to build our landing pages. I don't have it fully memorized, so I'll kind of break it down as far as I remember it. But we do have like that highly compelling and very clear offer on that header.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whether it's using pain, whatever it is. So it could be like Are you tired of getting, slow SEO results? We're the fastest agency in the world.
Mm.
We do it 3 times faster than the industry average, whatever you want to call it. Like one of our best performing funnels, um, the slug for it is tired of feeding the beast. And it literally talks about like spending the headers like, do you spend millions of dollars on ads and get a 2x ROAS, but you won't spend a measly few thousand on SEO to get a 21x like this client?
Mm.
And then it shows like a case study of a client. And then underneath it shows a bunch of other case studies of clients that got over a 21x return from their investment. So it's like having that and then just, having, as you know, just call to actions littered throughout the page, a lot of social proof, a lot of case studies right below that. Then again, calling out those pain points and doing some kind of like bold targeted statement of like, this is who we are, this is what we do, how we've solved those pain points for clients. I think that's something super important because people will call out pain points and they'll use their compelling and crafted offer, but then they won't show the actual proof of it, right? So
Mm.
they'll say like, we'll 2x your revenue and apply to work with us, but then there's nothing on the page of how they've done it for other people, right? So we like to back our claims with very specific broken down case studies of like, hey, this is the process that we went through to actually get these people a 21x return. So it's not just like us blowing smoke, like we've actually done it for people. We do it on a regular basis, and this is how we do it. Um, and then so we like to show examples, very specific examples, even if it's of like recorded testimonials, interviews, or just like very detailed broken down stats of like how we did it for someone in like the plan. Then just like a basic structure of what the offer actually is. There you can use like graphics, charts, visuals, that
Mm.
type of stuff. Why we're different than other agencies. That's what a lot of people are asking for on the call is they'll pop on the call and they'll just be like, okay, well, what makes you different? Like, sure, you're promising all these great results, but why are you different than, this agency over here that did the same thing for me? It's like,
Mm.
well, we're faster. It's like, well, okay, that's not a great reason, but what makes you different? Like, why are you a better agency? So we like to break that down in pretty good detail so that people can see kind of like our culture, people can see the structure of our agency, people can see that we're like, we're legitimate, we know what we're talking about, and we're not that guy just sitting in his mom's basement trying to do lead gen for med spas. You know what I mean? So why we're different, then the structure of the process for the people that get a little bit nerdier, we like to have that obviously further down the landing page, but like the structure of how we actually do things. Most people, like I said, they won't care how you do it. They just care about your results. But for the few people that do that make it
Mm.
down that far in the funnel, they'll still be able to see that. And even if they don't care, at least when they're scrolling down, they'll see that we care enough to be able to demonstrate how we do it. They won't care how we do it. They're just like, oh, okay, so they actually do have a process. They're actually trying to do something. They actually have a formula. They're not just kind of grasping at straws and trying to make it work. And then just more social proof, like total, even if you can put things like total revenue generated, like my SEO agency, we generate 140 million a year for our clients. So we'll put like our total revenue count for the year or for like the past
Mm.
365 days or something like that, or how many brands we've worked with in total, like that, those big letter metrics that aren't specific. And then we like to have like an about us and a meet the team type thing, pictures to show that you're a real person. If you have a big team photo, show them. Like the more you can show that you're like real people and that you have good culture and that people are happy and that type of thing, the better, especially in like this very like you said, AI internet world where everyone's kind of behind a screen and hidden and we can all kind of fake who we are. If you're able to kind of portray that you're as real as possible, then that's also good as well for the people that are interested in that.
Mm. The way that we think of the landing page, it's like your digital appointment setter, right? So exactly
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, like what questions, and we have the same philosophy as you. No, like no setters, unless it's like in the Twitter inbox. That's where setters
Yeah.
belong. When somebody's coming from paid ads, to then like they're like hot ready, to then put them onto with like an untrained setter is like a
Mm-hmm.
step back. It doesn't make sense. Put them on a
Yeah.
call with a closer. Anyway, I've got a lot of beefs about that. So totally agree. And that's why we call the landing page the the digital appointment setter. So you have to think, okay, well, what questions, what objections, what misconceptions, what's going to come up in their brain? And as you said, think about the message hierarchy. The about the team isn't going to be your second panel on the page. But for those who do keep scrolling, because some people are word for worders, they'll read everything on the page. Some people are skimmers and they'll skim your benefit driven subheads. And some people will like scroll to the bottom and check it all out. Like you've got to cater to these different people because this digital appointment setter needs to be ready. One of
Yeah.
the like simple ways that we do the question on what makes you better is like a very simple comparison table, and then we'll
Yeah.
have the buyer decision questions along the side, because which we found in the research. And for agencies, you're actually allowed to talk about communication and customer service and shit like that. Other industries, no, I don't give a shit about your customer service or whatever.
Yeah.
But because everybody's had such an awful experience with agencies, they're actually looking for that because the baseline isn't good service, unfortunately,
Yeah.
with agencies, right? So I totally love that with the landing page. And for the total funnel, then it's literally just to like give like a bit of an overview, a recap. We have the creative, like an ad creative that goes to the landing page. This landing page has the application on it. That's what it's all about with this landing page and everything. We're not sending them to VSLs. We're not doing ebooks. We're not trying to do anything
No
crazy like that. It's
opt-ins.
just like
Yeah.
no opt-ins. It's just here's your problem. I understand you. Here's the shitloads of proof that we fix that problem. Apply to
Yeah.
work with us. We're the authority. You should be so lucky to work with us. Apply here. They click on the application, which has at least the financial qualifier and disqualifier.
Hmm.
If they're qualified, they go to a calendar page with the option to book. And if they
Yep.
book, they'll land on a thank you page. Now, what
Yep.
happens if they this is like pretty much the same funnel flow that we do for our clients, by the way. And everyone's like, oh, I need ebooks. I'm like, no, you don't. You need to get in market leads who are ready to buy from you now.
Yeah.
Trust me, like they're out there and similar. It's like $30. Sometimes it can be up to like 150 like CPL. It doesn't matter. It depends on the industry. But for you guys, what do you do if somebody does application, is a good fit, doesn't book call? And what percentages are you seeing of application submissions to booking a call in the calendar?
So, we actually use setters for that process. We'll add
Mm-hmm.
some kind of automation and stuff to it, but
Yep.
obviously, generally, you don't get a lot of replies, especially with busy
Yes.
business owners or business owners in general, because there's a reason that they didn't pick a time. So we'll use
Mm.
setters for that. It's very hard to recoup them, right? Because there is
Yes.
a reason, that they didn't actually book that call. But I will tell you that depending on how compelling your offer is, or just in general, like it's very rare that it happens. It's very rare that someone gives you all their information and then doesn't book a call. So we'll maybe have like one in like 50 people that don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the nature of the type of people that we're looking for as well. If it's someone that's like funnel hacking you, then, of course, you're never going to
Yep.
get their information. You're never going to be able to reach out to them. And that's generally what it tends to be, is we'll be able to see very quickly that it's like some kind of spam lead that comes through. Since I do like a lot of speaking and stuff too, a lot of people will go through my funnels and try and figure them out. So it happens a lot, that side of things. But for our clients, it rarely happens that if it's, a qualified lead, that they don't book a call. So there are things in places like some automated texts, automated emails, that kind of stuff. They rarely do anything. And then the setter will follow up with them for a couple weeks. But
Mm.
I'd say maybe like 1 in 50 leads that don't book a call will actually then go through that process and then book a call. So really the goal is to make sure that someone just goes through the full funnel. And
Mm.
that's exactly why we're optimizing for that. So on that last thank you page, when someone books the call and hits that thank you page, that's when that pixel's getting triggered, because we want to make
Mm.
sure that yes, they're qualified, but that they're actually also booking a call. And that's the most important side of things. Um, so it's not really a sexy answer for that, but it also doesn't happen a lot. And if it does happen, there's not really generally much of a solution for it.
Mm. No, that's like I guess the answer I'm fishing for is like when you set this up properly, because the way that you frame it on the page, the way that you frame the offer, the way that you frame your authority, they click a button, they've committed to applying. there's a whole psychology behind the questions, which I'm sure we could do a whole episode on. I'm sure you guys think about that as well, like how to frame the questions and how to like dial up some of the pain throughout the questions, right? There's just like they're booking in a call. Unless there's something egregiously wrong, your calendar's broken. Usually it's a tech issue I find that's going on there. Because if they get to that point, they're going to book in a call. And then, as maybe one of the last questions for today, because I know this is a pain in the butt for everybody, is then no shows. Because that's kind of the next part, right? We've got them to book, then there's the no shows. A couple of the things that we're doing is the closers call pretty much straight away within like 5 minutes. Hey, it's Miles. We're going to chat. I'm going to prepare before the call. Tell me a bit more about your competitors, whatever. Or sometimes they take the call then and there, like, hey, I just had
Yeah.
something free up. Do you want to do it now? They sort of gauge it on the call, and people love that. No agency is doing that. And then we have all of our other pre swayed sequence before the call. And then the other thing is what I learned in the mastermind this year, which is the blue iPhone text messages. None of this
Hmm.
green Povo Android shit, just blue iPhone messages, getting them on WhatsApp, whatever. And our like no shows are basically non-existent now, or they're in communication, they're BFFs, and they're rescheduling because shit does happen, whatever. What about you
Yeah.
guys? What's working for no shows?
Yeah, so it depends on your industry to kind of what the solution will come up with because there's a few different options that we go with. Um, the hard answer that people have a difficulty realizing or solving is that it might just be through the process of your funnel too, that your offer just
Mm,
isn't good enough, and so it's not worth them getting on a call with you. So there, that's obviously the first place that we're looking at. Well, no, actually, the first place is making sure that the setter team is and or the closer team or the setter team is doing things properly, and then after that, then we'll go back and maybe think that it's the offer. Um,
mm,
so that's obviously a huge thing that people tend to forget is that maybe your stuff just isn't juicy enough to show up to. Like it's just not worth it. They saw your offer, they signed up for a call, but then on the day of the call, they're like, maybe I don't want to actually show up.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the big things to think about as well is that your offer might just suck and your authority and they might not
Mm,
think you're an authority. They might not think your offer is exclusive enough. Like there could be 100 different reasons. But then yes, on the sales side of things, and this is just from my personal agency. We don't do this for people. We tell them how to do it, but we don't do it for them. Is like, yeah, you want to send that blue iMessage pretty much immediately, right when someone books a call. We have the automated texts, but we make it very evident they are automated. We even say that these are
mm,
automated texts so that they don't feel like, oh, these people are just they're trying to fake or whatever. So we're like, hey,
mhm,
this is an automated text just as a reminder. And then we use a lot of storytelling in our emails in our phone on our phone messages as well, specifically like case study storytelling, just to kind of continue to pique their interest in like the results that we've had. So we'll talk about like, hey, this brand came to us when they were doing 7 figures. We did this, and this with them, and we took them to 8 figures in 4 to 5 months, right? So we'll
mm,
continue to kind of push that type of stuff to encourage them, like, hey, believe me, even different than the case studies that you saw on the landing pages. We have like unlimited of these if you just want us to keep sending them to you type thing. But it's more important. You can have all that type of stuff set up, but the most important thing is what the closer actually does. So then we have them send that blue message saying like, "Hey, my name's Cameron. I'm going to be the one on the call with you today, or next week, or whenever it's booked. Really looking forward to chat about XYZ brand." It has to be like
mm,
very targeted to them so that they
mhm,
know that it's not automated. Um, and then on top of that, we have them send a selfie video. So they'll even pull out their
yep,
iPhone. They'll say, "Hey, I'm Cameron. So great to meet you. See you on the call. Yada yada. If you have any questions in the meantime, please let me know." And then they'll send that over. And in the morning of the call, they do the same exact thing. If they have questions, obviously leading up to the call, they'll be answering those via iMessage. But then they'll know which one's the actual real human and which one's the actual message. And then
mm,
the reason that we like to use iMessages, as you said, is it's people have a better response rate from it. But then it's also where if there's a conversation being held there, we'll have some businesses that respond via email, and we'll have some businesses that respond via text message. Because they'll
mm,
also send out an email from their email saying like, "Hey, you'll get a bunch of automated messages, but heads up, this is my actual personal email. let me know if you have any questions here. And wherever the lead tend to respond, that's also where we'll have the closer follow up, because that's where they're
Mm,
most comfortable responding. Um, and so that's, we like to have that very like personal touch. We don't personally do the phone call type situation, just because, once again, for us, generally our closers calendars are entirely full, so they don't have those empty slots. And then we're also trying to bug the business owners as least as we possibly can, because we know that they're running their business and they booked the call for the time that they booked for a reason.
mm,
um, so that's kind of just why we do that part specifically. So yeah, there's things that you can put into place. um, Once again, depending on your offer, we also can include some kind of AI dialer, where it's actually a voice dialer. We'll do this for some of our clients, especially in the info space, where it'll be able to dial them obviously immediately. We generally do it on a delay, like 3 to 8 minutes, depending, um, after they actually book their call. And the AI basically has all the SOPs, all the sales calls, everything inside of its brain, and then it's able to answer a lot of the questions and basically confirm the call for people. But we don't like to do this with higher level business owners, because then it seems a little bit more scammy. It really depends on what the offer is, that
mm.
we're using it for. And we're obviously not trying to trick people either, that they're talking to a real person. We always announce like, hey, you're talking to an AI bot. And it does sound like a real person oftentimes too. So you have to be careful about that, because you can get some um, like compliance issues and stuff like that if you have an AI answering all your questions and they say something they shouldn't.
Hmm. And the selfie video is good. If we don't connect, that's what we send. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just about standing out. And I think people forget your funnel's not optional, right? It's just every single touch point, and each of these touch points can be optimized. So it can be as small as in the calendar invite that gets sent out, having an emoji at the start so it stands out on their calendar. Like we have a fire emoji as an example. And then there's like, that's a touch point. So there's stuff in there like, hey, check before the call, check out our case studies here, whatever we've got in there. Same thing as you guys. We call it the pre swayed email flow, but having case studies, because the job of all of that is to get them as prepped before the call and have them in the right state, the most receptive state that you've been positioned as an authority. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely what you said is if you're getting no shows, it's because your offer sucks. And
Yeah.
nobody wants to look in the mirror like that. But you've built no excitement, no anticipation, there's no enthusiasm, it's boring. Like if your offer's good enough, people will be like laying awake at night, like, fuck yeah, I can't wait for this. It's going to be sick. And if they're not
Mm-hmm.
coming, you've not done all these touch points properly. So
Yeah.
I've interrogated you now for a long time, and I am going to eventually let you go. But I've really enjoyed this because one, there's not many people that actually think about landing pages and funnels and offers. And I think it's so important. Like the ad just gets the click, right? It's everything
Right.
post click that makes all of the money, and especially agency owners, because I think so many are in the e-com space where there's such that emphasis on the creative and not enough on that post click.
Yeah.
But before I do catch and release you back into the wild, what do you think is the most important thing for agency owners to focus on in 2025? I know a lot of the ones that you help are maybe 100K or less, so you can focus there if you like. But where should they be focusing in 2025?
Um, so we generally only work with higher level agencies, because they have to have a good amount of spend already to be working with us. So we only work with the 100K plus.
So the
I
coaching is
run
under 100K. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Is that right? Yeah.
I run a community with Eddie, where we serve the 100K, or the
Mm,
everyone that's like minus 100K. So if you need help, go there. Um, but for people that are doing over 100K, a lot of them just don't even have systems in place.
mm,
Um, in the sales, they don't have any kind of structure, and people see that and then they put structure into their sales. But it's equally as important to have that kind of structure on your lead generation side of things. Like if there's no rhyme or reason to your funnel, and you're just trying to like throw things into the dark, then that's the type of results that you're going to get. Like if you're not able to like test things and see numbers and be able to decipher those numbers, then there's no point. So the two biggest things that we're helping people do is one, optimize their pixel. So making sure that they're going after the right person, that they have a system so that they can disqualify those people through the application phase, and then making sure that we're honing in the algorithm on that specifically, right? Because the goal is to get the ad account so that it's testing broad. Like we don't want to test the interests anymore. We don't want to test your lookalike audiences. We want to get it so that it's advertising broad. That's where you're going to get the cheapest leads. That's where you're going to get the cheapest booked calls, etc. So we want to make sure that we're really, really honing in that pixel and that we have a system to be able to do that throughout the full funnel. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, actually thinking through your offer. Like, what are people looking for? What are they most interested in? And why are they going to be interested in you rather than someone else? Because, like you said, there's loads of agencies out there that do the exact same thing that you're doing right now. So, why would someone buy yours rather than someone else? A lot of the times it's
Mm-hmm.
could be your personality. A lot of the times it could be, the pain that you're targeting and the solution that you're bringing to that. So you just have to kind of figure out what that is for you and then be able to set it up properly to be able to make sure that that actually works. So I think the offer is a huge one. Optimizing your pixel is a huge one that I think people take for granted. They think a lot of the power is in the media buying, but as you know, a really really good offer can be advertised by a very poor media buyer and still do really really well. So it's more in like the structure of your funnel and your offer and everything to make sure that it actually flows. And then for agencies specifically, remember that you're working with people that they're just like you. They have assistants. They're trying to save as much time as they possibly can. And so help them to go through the funnel as fast as you can. I know that one thing you mentioned is that um, with forms generally you like or applications you like to have like some psychology in it to ask certain questions, and for info products we do that, but for agency owners we like to ask the least amount of questions possible and have the least amount of them be required as possible. We just want their email, we just want their phone number, don't even care if their name's put in there right. We just want their website to make sure that they're a legit brand, and then their revenue, and that's it. We let them finish it there because we know that they're busy and they're not going to go through and like describe to me what your biggest pain points are. Why are you looking for a new marketing agency? You know what I mean? Like they don't have the time to do that. They're not interested. So the faster that you can get them through the application, the faster that you can get them through the funnel, the better. Don't make them watch a VSL. Don't make them opt in. Um, just help them, get through it as quickly as possible and show that you have the results to be able to back what you're talking about.
Awesome. And where can people find you after this episode?
Yeah, so I'm mostly active on Instagram. I'm on other platforms as well. I just don't manage them. So if you want to message me directly, I don't have any setters or anything in my Instagram. It's Hey Zach Schubert, Hey and then my name. So yeah, send me a message anytime. Happy to help out in any way that I can.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you. It was awesome, and thank you for interrogating me. It was a pleasure.
Anytime.